Welcome to SoCal Sports Report's 78th live podcast. I am John Stellman, along with Vince Morales and John Adams. And our lead tonight is the Masters, obviously. What a great tournament. What a great weekend. Great 4 days, a great final round. This was a made for TV. They couldn't have scripted it any better in Hollywood. It was a tremendous success. And John's the guru. He's got all the insights and analysis. We're going to go right to the expert on this one.
Oh, really? We're going to go right into it?
Right into it, wasting no time.
Well, it was, I shouldn't say it's for the ages, right, because he's 43 now. But, I have a lot written down on this. I don't know if I'm going to get to all of it, but I thought that, if you look at it as a whole, it was much bigger than just him winning his fifth Masters. Being brought up in the generation, right, of in my eyes, he's the best golfer I've ever seen in my entire life, right? I grew up in the later part of watching Nicklaus and watching that run in '86, right, and shooting 30 on the back nine for his sixth Masters, right? I remember it because I was 19 years old, but I watched this kid from 1995, all the way until the present, go through all these, trials and tribulations, but really being the dominant golfer in the game. And so when you look at it as a whole, it was just more than him just winning a green jacket, right? It was the chance for now our kids. I don't have kids. Vince has kids. You have kids, but it was for our kids now to really kind of see what we've been talking about, because there's been a lot of times where we were going, hey, I don't think you've ever had a chance to see what this guy's done, but you can always look up the statistics, and those will wow the crowd, right? But you're always expressing to the younger generation like, hey, this kid he's a dominant. He's one win away from the all-time tournament leader which is Snead, right? And he's now one Masters away from tying Jack, and he just passed Arnold Palmer, right? So it was more about him going through these ups and downs. 2 years ago, Nick Valdo had a chance to talk about it. Nick Valdo said 2 years ago, this guy's got a thing on his back for pain, so he could sit down and have dinner at the Champions Dinner. That's how bad it was. There's 4 knee surgeries and 4 back surgeries, and yes, there was a wife that took a 9-iron to his head, and there was some personal issues, right? But as a lot of people say, time heals negativity, but
America's very forgiving.
Right, America's very forgiving. So getting back to the golf, it was the first time that I've actually seen a veteran more or less methodically outthink these guys more than physically outbeat these guys. And it got to the point where he was making such smart moves that you almost looked at his playing partners and they're kind of, oh, is it my shot? Oh, because I'm watching you play golf, right? So they were always kind of more thrilled about what he was doing more than what the hell they were supposed to be doing, right?
They were spectating. Yeah.
Now, luck is involved. He hit an errant tee shot on 13. It kicked out in the fairway. He hit the ball right on 11 twice, and he had open shots to the green. So there's probably 6 or 7 shots that you could say he really got lucky, but you have to do that to win. But you also have to be smart on when to attack and when not to attack.
Right.
So, as it's, in the end, what was great about it, it was great to see the full circle, right? In '96 when he walked off and he gave his dad a hug, and now here he is walking off and giving his son and his daughter a hug, where they've never experienced that. They've never experienced their dad win a major, and just the roars, yes. There were roars on the back nine, and there were guys making moves, and he just stuck to his plan. He had a game plan. He flew there the Wednesday before the tournament. He went out with 2 wedges and a putter. He put himself in situations where if he hit an errant drive, where he would lay up to and hit shots at those 4 pins where he think they would be. He chipped and putted from where he needed to miss the golf ball. He just outsmarted them all. And, you know, in the end, you really heard, and it was very emotional on how they were chanting his name, like Tiger, Tiger, Tiger. They weren't doing that for Patrick Reed last year, right? They weren't doing that for Mickelson when he won, right? You know, or Spieth. But the respect at the very end, which was really cool, where you had past Masters champions, you had international players, and you had kids that were actually idolizing this guy when they were growing up that are now actually PGA Tour champions waiting around to say congratulations. So I think we've seen Tiger now become more of a father figure. I think we're seeing a softer side of him. He's had to rearrange his whole golf swing to you know, be right for his body type now. But, you know, he's signing more autographs now. He's doing more interviews. He's changed, and I think he's got a good team around him. And, you know, yes, did Tiger win the Masters? It did, but the big winner there was golf, I think, in a whole. So that's kind of my – oh, and I picked him.
That's right, you did. A long shot favorite.
Yeah.
Not in our pool.
Yeah, that was you.
Yeah, that was me.
So, but it was great. I mean – what's great about it is I was getting text messages from people at work, and they don't even – I don't know if they've ever been to a driving range, and they're saying, "Are you watching this?" I'm like, of course I'm watching it, right? But it was great to see that they were watching it. And Vince and I and a couple buddies, we had a whole text feed going on. And like Vinny's, you know, he plays golf once a year because there's bourbon involved, right? So, you know.
Only if there's bourbon involved.
Right? So, you know, it was – and then we were chatting about it, right? And it was great. It was great for the game. And, you know, it's middle of April now, and this is usually when golf starts all the way in the United States. Things are melting on the East Coast, and, well, they were supposed to be melting up in Minnesota, but I think that's still under snow. But, you know, golf has begun for the year, and this is a great way to start it.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if you hadn't.
It was remarkable. I mean, when we saw him break onto the scene, it was unlike anything we'd ever seen on a golf course. Not only were there very few African Americans on the course, but his style of play was just mesmerizing from the beginning. And we also knew of this kid as sports fans as when he was a kid, when he was a child doing these prodigious things, and as a teenager and as a young amateur, and to see just the way that, like, the greatest change sports, right? You know, they changed the rules for Wilt Chamberlain. They changed the rules for Wayne Gretzky. They tiger-proofed Augusta for Woods. So, you know, to see him go to the highest of heights and looking like he was just going to shatter every record, and then for him to have the personal issues and then the health issues, It honestly did not look to me like he was ever going to come back to be the same kind of Tiger, that he would linger and he would hang around and he might sniff at it, but he was, you couldn't take your eyes off of him and what he was doing. There was a point where, I don't know if you were on the thread when I said this, there was a point down on the back nine on the final day where I texted to my friend, I said, he looks so serene. Everybody else was just sort of melting, right? Molinari hits it into the drink on 12, and Tiger just looked calm, like at peace with, like, the demons were gone. Most of the time, sometimes when you watched him play, when he was hurt or right after the personal issues with his wife, it sort of felt like the demons were following him along the golf course. So people just wanted him to fail. It just felt like this. In this particular case, I think everybody was just rooting for him. It was just so fun to watch, and it was just incredible after so long and what he's been through. You know, the fusion of the discs, the discectomy, and ask anybody who's had that surgery, right?
Yeah.
If the to the torque that you have to put on your body to hit a golf ball and to hit it that length, unbelievable.
Just incredible, and the dedication and the perseverance and the work he put in to get back to that level of play when a lot of people thought he was done. Just to move on and move forward. And
yeah, because when he came on the scene, it was him and VJ were the only ones in the gym. They were the only ones doing this, and now you got everybody in the gym, right? So it's I don't think everybody wants to mirror his his life, but they want to mirror his success when it comes to what he's done on the golf course. It's all about power and carry now, right? It's not about maneuvering balls left or right, and he went through a chipping woe, right? Where he struggled, and they thought, well, if he can't chip the ball, then he's never going to be able. He got through that, right? So it's just, it was remarkable. It was a great way to start the year, and again, I think the game won too.
I think it's great it's great. I didn't see the ratings, but it had to be great for golf. Huge. I mean, the whole weekend.
I heard it wasn't as good as last.
Well,
year.
Because it moved to 9:30 in the morning.
Right, it was early, but it was the best for a morning.
Yeah.
Start. I think one of the things that gets missed a little bit here is that there's some consistency in Tiger's life, and for a guy who's been on the bag, you got to know that LaCava standing by him, sticking with him, and being a consistent presence for him had to really energize him as well.
Yeah, Joe was on couples bag forever, right? And then he was with Dustin for a little bit, and then he went over to Tiger. Now, Tiger has been known to be frugal, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Joe's done well enough in his life to where they negotiated a salary, and I think that salary is monthly, being that I'm playing or I'm not playing. Mm-hmm. And I think Joe I also think Joe is probably been approached by a lot of great players, and I think he's like, I've been doing this for so long. I really like the guy. I think they have a great chemistry. I really like talking, about other things on the golf course with him. I just think it's a good chemistry, and I think if he was to leave him, I think it would be a big mistake, and I think he knows that. And I think that guys like Freddie have told him, like, no, you need to stay there.
Yeah.
So knowing that Tiger has a guy that said, looked him in the eye and said, I'm here forever until you get rid of me, then that's another just thing he doesn't have to worry about, right?
Yeah.
So
especially through those tough times when he was struggling, and he was probably equal parts caddy and therapist for him, out on the course, because you saw some of those rounds that when he was first trying to get back at it. They were hard to watch.
Yeah,
and you felt really bad for him. Physically, you just thought, oh my God, what is he going through? But emotionally, you could tell that it felt like it was getting away from him.
And Joe's a solid guy, so you don't have to worry about him shouting anything off with his mouth about rumors or anything like that. He comes up to work and then he just minds his own business. So, and then obviously he's a legend that's looked at. I mean, it's almost like Joe is to the caddies what Tiger is to the younger generation.
Right, he has some gravitas, right, to where to challenge Tiger or to say something that another caddy wouldn't be able to get away with, to try and either loosen him up or calm him down or something like that. So
and obviously it's horses for courses, right? So he loves the place. It's like he it's not like the U.S. Open where it changes venues all the time, right? And he knows that place, right? And so he knows over the years, 20 years, that, he knows exactly how to play it. It doesn't really change. Now, the fifth hole has changed. They've really moved that back another 70 yards. And you could tell, I think he bogeyed it every single hole. He had in this left bunker that he couldn't get out of. And that's a whole nother thing that was, to get off at the Tiger thing is, the chairman spoke at a State of the State on Wednesday, and they spoke about, how, he spoke very professionally on how to get the point across that, he's now in talks with the USGA and the Royal and Ancient, and they're talking about, hey, look at this golf ball's gotten out of control, and now these kids are hitting 5 and 6 irons into 13 and 15. Now, do I need to start buying some land and backing up some tee boxes, and restructure my golf course to fit what you're allowing to be on the golf course when it comes to technology and golf ball, or are you going to back this golf ball down about 10%, and take about 30 yards off of it, and now I don't have to do this? Because in the day, Nicklaus was hitting, 4 irons and 3 irons and 2 irons into 15, and these kids are hitting 5 and 6 irons and 7 irons into the 15. So there's been he's trying to get the word out to, because Nicklaus for the last 20 years has been adamant about saying this golf ball is out of control. It goes too straight and it goes way too far. So, so that's another thing that's, has been, brought to, the USGA and the RNA about changing things. So, because if not, they're going to have to start, because they don't like 15 and 20 under par to be one at Augusta. They don't like that. So,
and there was a lot of people on that leaderboard in red. I mean, it was,
but again, it was. I said 14, I think, 15 guys. But I mean, after I started looking at it on Thursday, I'm like, there's 25 guys that can win this thing. It was deep. It was the deepest field that I've seen in a long, long time, where a lot of great players were actually playing well going into the tournament. So,
I'm sorry, there was the 3 rounds of 64.
Yeah.
Was it on?
But again, it held its own. I don't know if there's been one person, and if so, it's been a long time ago. Not one person's had rounds in the 60s all 4 rounds. If so, it's been a long, long time. So it's either that, or if they're going to say, hey, look, the golf ball is going to be the golf ball, it wouldn't surprise me if Augusta starts putting these pins in stupid spots. But nobody wants to watch guys 3-putt every hole, but but if they need to get those scores down a little bit more, they'll do something.
How does this affect Tiger moving forward now as far as his schedule? Is he going to pick and choose?
Well, a guy like Tiger and a guy like these elite, probably elite 15 guys, it's all based on your schedules, all based to prep for a major. So now what he'll do is he'll take some time off, rest his body. I mean, Kevin Na even came out and said, look, it is a very hilly golf course. I don't know if you know this, but it's very, very hilly. And, they say, he said, like, I am so physically and mentally exhausted after 4 rounds at Augusta, let alone all the homework you're doing from Sunday all the way to Thursday, that he goes, I don't understand how guys can play the next week. I really don't understand it. I would be a zombie going to a next week to try to prepare. So he'll probably take some time off, because now, they've moved everything closer. So a month from now is the PGA Championship. So what he'll do is he either will play the week 2 weeks prior and then take that week off to prep for what he needs to do, or sometimes guys will play the week prior and go into it. So I'd have to look at the schedule to kind of see if he has any sponsors, that he has to go support, that support him, that he has to go play in some golf tournaments. But I would say either they're going to play 2 weeks prior and then take that week off in the middle, or he'll play going into it. So
this helps his brand, his sponsorships.
Oh.
And
not just that, he's now playing the PGA's at Bethpage, where he won a U.S. Open. Yeah. So there's another golf course that's, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does what he did here, like go to the golf course a week prior and kind of look at and how he's going to have to play it, and then come back to his game plan and obviously try to, you only change your game plan due to the weather, right? Yeah. So, but
can he get 3 more majors?
I don't know. I mean, it's just because I don't know, but I don't think Nicklaus had all these kind of guys that you had to beat, right? I mean, the game is so international now, right? Yeah. There's great Koreans and Japanese and Australians and South Africans where, I think Nicklaus only really played against the Europeans and himself and maybe the odd Asian player, but I just think it's so deep. So again, and it's like Vince was talking. It could be one swing and the fuse go. I don't know. Like I guess time will tell. But I'll tell you right now, I think he's going to tie Snead or go ahead and be the all-time wins leader. I think that. I think he still has another 3 or 4 years in him. if he can stay healthy and really, like, going into last year when he won the Tour Championship, he had to play like 4 or 5 weeks in a row. He hasn't done that in ages, but he had to do that to try to make the Ryder Cup team and get up to
get the points.
Yeah. So the unique thing that everybody's talking about now is he's the President's Cup captain.
Right.
So he's thinking about being a playing captain, and he'll probably do that just because of his ego, right? But I have a whole nother twist on that whole thing, and I'll talk about that later down the road when people, because I think because it's in Australia, they pushed it to December.
Okay.
Yeah, not September.
Well, they back in the day, whenever Tiger was in a tournament, I was always in front of the TV.
He moves the needle.
And when he got hurt and when he had these problems, I haven't watched a tournament in I don't know how long until this last weekend. And now I'll pay more attention to when Tiger's going to be playing. And I think a lot of people will. I think he's going to draw a lot of people back who maybe had left the game, weren't interested in the game, were Tiger fans and didn't want to see him lose. Now they're going to be back, and I think it's going to help.
And then exactly what I expressed. The Tigers fans, kids now, were able to experience that. And now you probably have them as fans. They don't know about his personal life. They were too young during that.
Right.
But now they know about, wow, the new Masters champion and 43 years old and just won his fifth Masters. So that's what they see, right? So now that should be able to boost a little bit more of junior golf.
Yeah. You know, my last comment would be that, you know, there was a time when it was like, oh my God, soccer's being played all over this country. Wait till all the really good athletes start to play soccer, and the U.S. is going to win a World Cup, and they haven't. And I think the same was thought of urban kids and, you know, African American kids looking at Tiger and saying, you know, this athlete looks like me. Maybe I can take up this sport, but we haven't seen it, and that's a disappointment to me. And I'm hoping that maybe this resurgence, that maybe there'll be that next generation
wave,
of urban athletes who picks up a club, you know, not just for fun, but to be competitive.
Great weekend, a great weekend.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Let's turn the page to the Lakers. Last Tuesday at this time, Magic was stepping down. Since then, Luke was unemployed for 30 seconds, gone, and now landing in Sacramento. So the Lakers looking for a coach. The front office still is in a shambles. Some are saying that Genie's not going to hire a president. Some are saying that Pelinka should be out, or Pelinka should be the president, or whatever. What are your general feelings on the Laker front office?
If 2 months ago you had told me that of Luke, Rob, and Magic, only one was going to be surviving, the last one I would have picked would be Rob Pelinka. You know, the stories are swirling out there that he is not well liked.
Right.
That the Lakers ownership and management, the front office, has got some blinders on. They're very myopic about this. They like Rob, so they just assume that everybody else likes Rob. But he's an agent, right? He's a bottom feeder. And he's,
nobody likes agents.
So nobody first of all, nobody likes lawyers,
Right.
and nobody likes agents.
Yeah.
You know, they're like the next circle of hell, you know, down from lawyers. And now he's a general manager, and he's trying to do deals, and some of these general managers had to deal with him
when he was an agent.
When he was an agent, they're thinking, screw you.
Yeah.
Why should I help you?
Agents don't like him, and the front office doesn't like him.
And other agents don't like him. General managers don't like him. And I believe the stories that he's not well liked, that he's not well respected, and frankly, he has no experience. You've talked about that.
Right.
He just doesn't have it. So I'm concerned because Jeannie Buss put out a statement, but we haven't seen her in front of a camera. And some of that might be because there are other things that are happening and she wants to stay out of the way. They're going to be hiring a coach, but it just doesn't look good to me. It doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't look good, and I don't have a lot of confidence that if Pelinka is sort of elevated and bridges the gap between general manager and Jeannie as sort of occupying that president's position without actually having the title, I'm worried.
If it hadn't been for Kobe, Pelinka never would have gotten that job. I honestly believe that. I think Kobe really, spoke for him and pushed him and, talked to the Jeannie and the front office, I'm not sure he would have been hired without the support of Kobe. I want to see him go.
Just like Tyrone Lue wouldn't be interviewed if it wasn't for LeBron. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The worst thing that I've heard said today and over the last week about Ty Lue and the sort of the optics of, oh God, why free agents will just say, I don't want to play on LeBron's team. Look, he's got his coach there. If they hire Ty Lue might be the right guy for the job. But the worst thing that I heard today is that Ramona Shelburne said that LeBron hears Ty.
I heard that.
Ty Lue.
I heard that.
That's not the kind of relationship. Yeah. Just because you need somebody who can be coached, who's coachable, who is your coach out on the court, and you tell them something, and not that they just hear you, but that they act on what you're telling them. And he may respect Ty Lue, but he doesn't have the same. There's not a player-coach relationship going on there. He may respect him a little bit, but
I remember games in Cleveland that I watched a couple of years ago, and Ty would have everybody around him, and LeBron would be off walking along the bench, not paying any attention.
But that's the majority of the NBA now. They don't look at anybody. The only guy they really look at is the guy in San Antonio.
And that's because he's a little older and he's got to speak up.
Right, exactly. But the majority of your stars aren't looking at anybody.
Yeah,
they're looking at their phone.
I don't think. Yeah, exactly. I don't think Westbrook's looking, at Scott. But I don't know. It's it's I don't know if it's the mentality of like, why do I need to listen to you? I make 5 times what you make.
Exactly.
Right? So
yeah, I mean, there's clearly some of that, and there's also some of them which is just ego. There are times when you watch the Lakers and you'll see those timeouts, and Luke's trying to coach, and there's Rondo screaming at guys. And it's like, and LeBron's hurt, so Rondo's the guy, and he's the next, he's the next general, I guess, in line. And it's like, yeah, he might be smart, and he may be a good player, but shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
And getting back to, what you pointed out, with Luke, I think he's in a good spot.
I think he's in a great spot.
Yeah, I think he's, if they can adapt to the way he runs his offense, you got young kids that are going to listen to him.
That's going to be a good team.
It's
going to be a good team.
I think he's in a good spot. I think that's why he jumped on it, to be honest with you. I think it's like, I feel like I'm going to be able to coach. You know what I mean?
It's not going to be any pressure. Not going to be the pressure that he had down here. Plus, you don't have the press and the media, collection in Sacramento that you have down here. I think he's going to have a lot easier time. It's just, if he can get his philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, there are some expectations that are going to come from him. It wasn't all Luke's fault, but there's still some challenges that he has as a young coach. The fact that his substitution and his personnel changes, they just seemed weird and random. And I was talking with a friend who lives in Sacramento, and he says, "Well, I guess I'm on board. I'm gonna see how this goes. It wasn't my first choice, but I'm gonna see how it goes." And I told him, "Look, I think he's a good coach. I really do, and I think he's going to get better. And 10 years down the line, he's likely going to be a pretty good coach." But positionless basketball can be a very tricky thing unless you catch, fire with a team like Golden State, right? But that didn't just happen. I mean, you don't just go, whatever it was, 28-0 with the guy holding the clipboard unless he's doing something right, making the right substitutions, making the right timeout calls, and doing some things right.
Well, and you also had depth on that team last year, too, in Golden State, so... Or 2 years.
A couple of years ago.
3 years ago, sorry.
Now, don't you think the Lakers should get their front office in order before they start talking about hiring a coach? I mean,
of course.
You got to have a gentleman.
I think that's the story that everybody's missing. I think that Jeannie has put it in order, and it's not an order that we think is in order. It's out of order. But Pelinka's a guy. The shift of power is it's in Rob's hands. He's going to hire this new coach, and there's not going to be anybody between him and Jeannie. It feels like it's done. The die is cast.
And she's convinced that he can negotiate trades with other general managers, sign free agents, Like you say, he's still not really liked.
I'm only convinced that he can clear cap space. That's all I'm convinced. That's all I'm convinced he can do right now. We've seen him for 2 years now, and the jury is still out.
Haven't heard much from him, but we've seen a lot of him.
The thing that I haven't heard word one from is Kobe, right?
Right.
Magic did nothing to say Rob's the guy. He's got my confidence. He can take care of things. He said nothing like that. And this is Kobe's guy. Mm-hmm. And Kobe is still sort of affiliated with the team in some ways, But I would have at least want to hear something from Kobe. Yeah. Something.
I just hope that doesn't affect the free agents.
It's going to. I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's any question. It feels icky. Yeah,
when you have so many people that don't like you, agents, general managers, and you got to think, LeBron next year's number 2, only 2 years after that, he's not going to get a championship here if they aren't respectable next year and at least make the playoffs. His window is going to close for another championship.
But I think he's going to struggle to actually negotiate deals because, he knows how these agents think, right? And it's almost like, when you're buying a car, don't ever sell a salesman, right? It's just like he's going to go like, I know exactly where you're going. We're not going to do that, But and then these agents are probably going to look at him and go, well, you would have went there, And
that's what you would have done.
Yeah, that's what you would have done. Yeah. And so hopefully that doesn't bite him and he understands how you have to think as a general manager and not like he doesn't want to put his agent hat on when he's in these negotiations. You got to put his general manager hat on,
right.
Yeah.
So
unless he's selling the guys that he's trying to trade, right?
Yeah.
If in a deal like that, I mean, if he's signing free agents, it's a different story. But if he's trying to sell one of his guys in a trade, then that's the point where you hope that he's a very good agent and very good seller. All he takes is one, right? All it takes is one. Mm-hmm. And there was, in the middle of the season, there was some talk that the Bulls wanted Lonzo Ball. I think that talk is happening again, that the Bulls might be. They're definitely interested in a point guard, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that point guard is Lonzo Ball, whether they would give up enough, whether they have anything that the Lakers could actually want. Would they give away an early draft pick? Probably not likely. They'd have to package something. But I think that if the interest is still there, there are some deals that can be made. And so we have to hope that it's not just about free agency. It's about what else you can acquire.
Jeannie is not stupid. She's a bright woman, a very good, runs the organization very well. Can't she see what the outside world sees? According, as far as Rob Pelinka is concerned, doesn't she understand that he's not that popular?
I think there's a problem when you're in that rarefied air, right? Sometimes when you're that smart, sometimes you just think other people are dumb, or they're wrong, right? And so I like this guy. They must all be wrong about him. Yeah. It's a little myopic. But there are plenty of people who got rich and ran big companies because they had a kind of a singular vision, right?
Let's assume then that there's no other front office people, brought on board. What other coaching is this thing clear cut for Ty Lue, or are there other candidates out there?
There's Monty Williams.
Monty Williams
and Juwan Howard.
Juwan Howard, yeah.
So I think Monty Williams was interviewed today. Ty Lue this or tomorrow, and then Ty Lue in a couple of days. There was talk of Juwan Howard. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything else. Those are the only three guys that I've heard.
I haven't ever heard anything else other than that.
And I think it's probably leaning towards Ty Lue.
While we're on the NBA, what a game by the Clippers last night! Absolutely unbelievable.
I watched it by the inside of my eyelids because I turned it off.
Yeah.
Well, after the Dodgers walked off their game, I was watching the tail end of the Clippers, and I had been following with the the scroll at the bottom, and it just looked like it was. But I figured it's getting closer. It's getting closer. They went on a 19-6 run just to get it within 18. right?
Well, yeah, I think in the last 19 minutes they outscored them 72-37. I mean, that's crazy.
How do you
Which
do
they
that?
had to, because they gave up 70-something in the first half to the Warriors. The Warriors just quit, and then the injury to the Cousins.
I think it was more the Curry getting his fourth foul and about 8 or 9 minutes left, and they had to. Sweet Lou, huh?
Yeah.
Sweet Lou Williams, and
Glad the Lakers got rid of him.
And Beverly has turned into this poke, jab guy, into KD, and he's just pushing his buttons. I think they said KD had more turnovers than he had shots last night.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he had 2 tees last night. You can only get 7 before you get suspended.
Yeah. So
he was teed up in the first game too.
Yeah. They got thrown out. Both of them.
Yeah, they both got ejected.
So, give it to Doc. I mean, Doc's got this team, believing, and now it's like what you said, before we walked in here. They better win both in L.A.
L.A. Yep.
I mean,
That's right.
But it does come down to this. I mean, you still got to beat this team 4 times, and that's going to be the hard part. Now, I'm already starting to believe that I think Houston can do that in the next round. I think Houston can beat what I just saw, and there was quit. I don't think the locker room is good in Golden State. I don't think they have the depth that they used to have. I think they're very beatable.
Has Steve Kerr lost control?
Well, I think that these players are understanding that they're not going to be together next year. I think this thing's going to implode, right? Mm-hmm. I think KD's going to go. What are they saying? New York now, and I could see Green going somewhere, and so I don't know. I just don't think there is a good mix of everybody's on board with everybody's thoughts, and where I think they're eating out of Doc's hands. Whatever Doc just says,
Absolutely. Doc's a genius, and those guys have grit. I mean, those guys play.
They're scrappy.
And it feels like they take on the personality of their coach. He sort of can play either side of the fence. He can be calm when he needs to be calm, kind of let the things play, but he can also be like, you guys are playing like crap. You need to pick this up. You're going to get embarrassed. Right? And he was saying in the interview after the game, it was like, I told him the truth. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you got to stick with it. You just got to stay after it. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you can do it.
Yeah.
I don't have the blueprint.
Right.
But guys like Harrell and Beverly and Williams, just the tenacity of it. And you look over across town, it's a very fine line right now. There's plenty of people who are ready to jump, bandwagons, to kind of hang their hat on the Clippers, right? It's one win.
Yeah.
They got to win at home. Trust me, I think Ballmer's a clown. I think he's an idiot. I think he's a clown, and he's 3 losses away from looking just like he's just a clown to me. Yeah. But he's also 3 wins away from looking like colorful, right? It's like that Bull Durham thing. You got fungus on your shower shoes. When you're in the show, you're colorful, but now you're just a slob.
Right.
So Ballmer right now is a clown. 3 wins, a few more wins. He's less of a clown. Now the Lakers are looking like clowns.
This could help the Clippers in the free agency.
Well, actually, what it might do is it might help the Clippers in having free agents that want to go play.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too is they might get some names to come mold with this team that looks like it's it's all playing together.
If they get Kawhi Leonard, they could be a pretty good ball club.
Right, and maybe a couple other I mean, look at it. We talked about it at the very beginning. We're like, who's going on the press sheet? Who's going to go on the program when I pick it up and I want to buy it? I go, who's the face of this thing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it Sweet Lou? Is it Harry? I mean, who is it? Right? Yeah. And that was what's great
missing
about
in
it.
action.
It's like, hey, you know what? What do they say? It's not about the name that's on the back of your jersey. It's about the name that's on the front of the jersey, right? So, and
it's actually just a swirl, and I can't even tell. It's like a big C in an LA.
They're all eating out of the same, bull, right?
They're singing out of the same hymn book.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and that's
The world according
what
to
do they
Doc.
say, right? There's no
That's
I
right.
in team, right? But and that's what I think. That's how they're succeeding.
I can't. I couldn't believe the free throw discrepancy last night. Oakland makes 40 out of 45. The Clippers make 25 out of 31.
Well, that's
And they
the thing.
still
that
win the game.
You're right. The Clippers come back from 31 down against a team that shot 40% from three-point and shot 45 free throws.
Yeah, that's amazing.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
You'll never see anything like it again. I think that the good news, bad news is that's still a team. That's a Clippers team that gave up 100 and almost 140 points,
Right.
75 points in the first half. Yikes. So for a team that sort of prides itself on its tenacious defense, it sort of came through. They held them to 50 points in the second half, right? Or something like 50-something in the second half. But they still gave up a lot of points.
The NBA playoffs are interesting. Toronto and
so are the
Philly.
NHL
Yeah,
playoffs,
I was
too.
gonna get
And
to
there's
that.
That's a whole
some funkiness going on.
Yeah, has Columbus won that game yet?
Actually, here comes Tampa Bay.
Uh-oh.
It is Columbus 4, Tampa Bay 3, with 9:53 left.
Okay.
That is going to be
Wow.
a crazy third period.
Yeah,
Islanders are up 2-1 on Pitt into the second, and then the other games haven't started yet.
I would suggest that Columbus win tonight.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
leave
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Don't open a.
Yeah,
don't
you
open
got
the
that
door.
giant down.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on it. Angels are down 3-0.
Kings have a new coach,
Oh,
That was the next. Yeah.
who they hired?
Todd McClellan.
That was that's not too surprising.
No, it's not surprising. There was a lot of people who were after him. What surprises me, a 5-year, $25 million contract, long term, for a guy who's had a lot of regular season success, but not much postseason success.
Yeah.
Ask anybody in San Jose, right?
Exactly.
How they feel
that's true.
about
Yeah. It's a
him
good
as
point.
as a postseason guy. But he had some success with Edmonton. It's funny because it's fine. It's a good hire. He's a good guy. He's a winner. He can win. I worry, right? He had some really good talent in Edmonton, young talent. Nugent Hopkins, Hall, and Connor McDavid, and had one good year and then a really bad year. So they had like 102 points. I think one of McDavid's, either his rookie year or the second year, and then bad, and then fired after 20 games. So this is a Kings team that needs to be younger.
Yeah.
Everybody, I've seen a lot of stuff happening out there on social media about, will the veterans sign on to McClellan? It's like, will McClellan sign on to these veterans? Kopitar, Doughty, Brown, Martinez. These guys are old. Even Quick, they're old. It's an old team. It's the same thing I said at the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
It's old. It's an old team. They need to get younger. They need to get faster. And I think McClellan has some success with that, but it wasn't sustained success. And that's why he got run out of Edmonton. And that's why he was available. But that's a big contract, and, I can only hope for the best for the Kings.
Well, they must have faith in him. I mean, to give the guy that kind of security, they must see the.
Yeah, it's secure until it isn't, right? It's just like any coaching position, right?
Yeah, that's true. The Angels and Dodgers. Angels down 3-0.
Yeah, down 3-0. Yeah, just gave up a 2-run homer.
And looks like the Houston's starting to take charge of the West, going into Seattle, sweeping them.
Angels going into tonight were 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah.
Houston was 9-1.
Yeah. And the Angels are still in last. After they won 7 out of 10.
And they're exactly where we thought they would be, 500.
Yeah.
500, yeah.
Right? 8-8. But it is what I mean. What frustrates me is, Texas comes in here and we take 3 out of 4, and you're thinking that's a nice little accomplishment. Now we're going there and we threw up 12 runs last night and got beat 12-7.
Right.
Here we are already down 3-1. It's just, you need to beat these teams, right?
You need to, yeah.
If you're going to be battling for second or third place in your division, well, you're playing a team that should be probably last in your division. So that's just like frustrating. But then you look at the Dodgers, and Padres are leading that in the West, right? And so
not for long.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I don't think they're going to hang around, but for right now, that's the kind of thing that they could expect. Except it's a young rotation.
It's just good to see Trout's back. I got a little scared there with the groin, but
it
looks like that's all. It's all kind of they're massaging it. I think they're DH. They DH'd him last night. I'll check to see if he's playing tonight.
He's DHing.
Is he DHing again? And then I'll tell you though, drama last night in the Dodger game. Kershaw gets on the start, and first pitch to Puig.
Oh yeah.
He hits it out the dead center.
Well, it wasn't his first pitch. It was it was into the count, and he had 2 strikes on him.
He did.
Yeah, he had 2 strikes on him. He had given up a hit to the guy before him, and he had Puig being Puig, right?
Right.
And he threw just the crappiest pitch. Barnes should be whacked on the head with a wet noodle, and Kershaw, I don't think he threw that slider again. It was an awful pitch, and it's one of those things where, if you're taking a 30,000-foot look at it, you go, oh, Kershaw pitched well. The Dodgers, Stripling last night, Kershaw pitched well. But if you watch that game like I did, every pitch, that's 90-mile-an-hour Kershaw with a very flat slider that Puig crushed when he shouldn't have even been throwing him anything in the strike zone.
How are you watching that now?
No, that was on ESPN.
It was ESPN.
Oh, was it?
It was Jackie Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Jackie
Robinson night. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So that was on local television.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't have to do anything illicit to watch the game. So then Bellinger gets pegged.
Yes.
Right.
And they had to take him out.
And
but
negative, nothing broken. Yeah. Just a bruise, but he'll be out of the lineup tonight. And again, I'm texting with my brother, and we're like, we got, Kershaw never throws at anybody. Yeah. So Puig was leading off the inning right after, right? He struck out Puig. So nothing happened. And you know who he buzzes? You know whose tower he buzzes? Kyle Farmer. Right? The former Dodger catcher.
Yeah.
And he didn't throw it very hard, but it was up and in.
Was
to a righty.
Was he right after Puig, or
it was 2 outs? So he got Puig, and then he got the next guy, and then Farmer.
Yeah,
I think was hitting, or it might have even been the next inning. It might have been even. It might not have even been the right.
Well, if he'd thrown at Puig, he would have been thrown out of the game. If you throw at Farmer, and just got away.
Puig didn't care. He would have rushed. He would have threw the bat at him, and, like Pedro Guerrero back in the day.
That's right.
Yeah. But Puig, what a character. It was.
So I didn't see Vince. When he ran out to right field, did they give him a nice?
Well, when he came up to bat, they gave him a standing ovation.
Oh, they did.
Oh, yeah, they were they were chanting Puig, and they gave him a standing ovation.
Did he? And was he nice and tipped the hat, or
he did?
Okay,
he did. He was fine. He was a lot better to the fans than he was to the organization, and being an hour late for the ring presentation, and then coming in and saying, "You can hand it to me, or you can stick it in my locker. I don't care." But
really?
I don't need to. I don't need to see him. If he wants to come hand it to me, that's fine. Yeah. So he was probably intentionally late for that. And again, those were the exact kinds of things. Maybe it's different for him in Cincinnati, but Sutcliffe came right out and was telling a story that I had not heard before. That between the lines, obviously Puig, fun, exciting, electrifying, but in the clubhouse, just a cancer, which is something that we all suspected and sort of knew. That he was just hard to handle, and Scully called him the wild horse, and Roberts wasn't particularly fond of him. And Sutcliffe came out and said that they would hand him a positioning card, and he'd take it and tear it up.
Wow.
I'd never heard that story before. But if that is true, if that's a true story, and somebody recounted that from the Dodgers organization to Sutcliffe at some time, and then he's been holding on to this and he says it now, I'm shocked that he lasted that long. Wow. Because that's not something that I think any organization would tolerate.
They must have known about it. I mean,
Well, I think it was just a matter of time because he did usually have pretty good numbers in the postseason, and he did play pretty good defense, but you could tell that between Machado not wanting to run out balls and and him being this flashy kind of guy, it's not the Dodger mold, right? It's just,
no.
you know.
Well, but it's a different game. It's completely different. You know, Verdugo looks like a star waiting to emerge. He really does. You know, he's going to get probably another start. He's going to get a start tonight in place of Bellinger, I would think. I'd have to look at the lineup.
Because Muncy will play first, right?
Muncy's been playing all over. Muncy's played first. He's played second. He's played third. I mean, they've had Muncy all over. So, yeah, Muncy or Freese. It depends on who's throwing tonight. I don't know who's.
Was Jock was a pinch hit, or was he?
No, Jock played.
Was he playing?
Yeah, I mean, Jock is now, he's the left fielder. He's the left fielder. All right. Yeah, and Pollock's the center fielder, and it's typically Bellinger and right. And then if Verdugo gets a start and Bellinger's at first, you know, something like that, if they're going, then they maybe move Muncy over.
I mean, I watched some of the at-bats. Verdugo does have good at-bats. You know, he's
got a good eye.
Yeah,
he's got a good eye.
Yeah.
It's a better eye than you would think for a kid that age who's really trying to explode onto the scene.
Right.
He had some really good at-bats. He takes some good hacks. So it's just a matter of will he get enough at bats.
Right. Yeah.
You had said maybe, you know, rookie of the year. Yeah. I'm not sure he's going to get enough at bats.
Right.
He
yeah.
could.
And that's what will hurt him for not getting that. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
But he's a good fielder. He's got a great arm. He's got
all the tools.
He's got all the tools.
All the tools.
Just needs he just needs the at
bats. He needs to play. Yeah.
Yeah. He needs to play.
Yeah.
And it looks like Chris Davis is actually making his money now.
He got some hits.
Yeah, he got 3 hits.
In a home run. And got 3 hits.
Boy,
and the hilarious is it 0 for 54?
Yeah, 50, something like that. Yeah,
something like
and he got a base hit and he asked for the ball.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, that was great.
I don't blame him.
That's great.
I thought it was great.
That's terrific.
Yeah. But what has happened to the Red Sox? Oh my God!
And lost
again
tonight. Yeah. And that was the what was it? I had it down here. That was the shoot, I just lost it. It was the 6-9 Yankees going against the 6-11 Red Sox tonight. Who
big
thought,
rivalry game.
Yeah. Who thought that would happen? But
well, somebody's going to get better, right?
Yeah.
They beat them up pretty good, I think.
Today, that
Yankees beat them
because the Orioles
8-0.
Oh my God! And they got beat by the Orioles 8-1 last night, or something like that.
Yeah, and that was Patriot Day, right? In Boston. Yeah. 8-0 Yankees, and Yankees are a mash unit, right? I mean, they're hurt.
They're wicked awful.
Yeah. Under 4 minutes now, still 4-3 Columbus.
Come on,
pull that goalie.
Yeah, that's a little early.
Yeah, that's. We finally a story in the paper today where Todd Gurley spoke out publicly for the first time.
Yeah, I saw something, but I didn't know what it...
And said absolutely nothing.
Okay. He had no knee problems, no nothing.
No, he says his knee's feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good. He says, what's the guy they signed, Malcolm Brown? He says, he'll be just fine. If I can't play, he'll do all the things I do, you know. But that's got to be a concern. I mean, that's got to be a concern. He's one of your top offensive guys.
Oh, yeah.
And he opens up so many other things. He can, catch the ball, and he's a force on the makes the defense a little bit flexible.
I think the success for the Rams when it comes to using Gurley is, I think it's now that time where you're going to have to give him rest. He can't be that every down back yet. I think you need another good second back, and give him rest because it is shown now that because he catches the ball so good out of the backfield, right? And
he's a weapon.
And I just think that having a good backup is very important for him to not have to be an every down back anymore. It's just too many things can go wrong, and there's just a long season, and you're looking at a Rams team now that is legitimately a Super Bowl contender. I mean, it's like these basketball games, right? It's more or less for the playoffs more than it is. You go get yourself early, go put yourself in a good position, but then be able to try to rest that guy. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure that offense runs as smoothly with him resting more, and part of that is because you can't you don't know what's coming when he's in the backfield, right?
Because you can't.
Right.
It's easier to scheme when he's not in
Right,
there, right?
Yeah.
right. It's a different story, right? Because he can run it, he can gash you, you can also get to the outside. He catches the ball like you were saying, but he also before he got hurt was a pretty good pass blocker as well.
Right.
So you just didn't know, and sometimes when somebody's man to man, when they expose the man to man, they send him in motion or whatever, sometimes he'll get loose, and it was a volume of snaps that he was able to take which really made that offense go. It's gonna take some doing to sort of replace that. They need to find somebody who can come in and some of that may be using some of their receivers in a different role, kind of in a slot back type of role or doing that sort of thing. Because they have some speed and they got some guys who can do that.
That's. Are we going to be probably looking and doing our draft, like what we think these guys are going to do in the draft next week, or is it 2 weeks from now? When is the draft? It's 2 weeks from now, right?
2 weeks from now.
Okay.
So.
Well, no,
Not
it's
this-
next week.
Is it next?
Yeah, no, it's next week. Is it? I can't remember. Is it the
Because I think
last
that's
week of
something we
April?
should do some research on when it comes to what we think our local teams are going to be doing. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I don't know how that stands. I don't know if it's next week.
2
2 minutes left. 4-3 Columbus.
is it going
Better
out
not.
yet?
They better
I
not.
don't know.
They better not get a penalty on him and have a 5-on-3.
Yeah.
I read something today that sort of excited me. The Chargers apparently will be going
5-3 Columbus.
they probably had the empty net.
Yeah.
Primarily powder blue for their
Yes,
home
I saw
jerseys,
that.
Who's
which
that
I
now?
love.
Yeah. I
The
love it
Chargers.
Too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah,
Love it.
yeah. That'll be nice.
Tampa Bay gets swept. Right?
Yeah,
Swept.
Yeah. Oh
as
yeah.
far as
That's
that-
yeah.
Wow.
They
Yep.
they had won the President's Cup. They had the most points in the league.
128 points.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What was the money line on that?
Oh, I don't know.
Not that we're gamblers.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically.
Yeah,
Just saying.
Yeah. For how many points?
that's
How
amazing.
many chips?
Oh,
Yeah, amazing.
crazy.
The LAFC and
Yeah.
the Galaxy still rolling right along. Galaxy is, the LAFC outscored their opponents 21-5. I mean, they are just
Yeah.
Did you watch the game against Cincinnati? Because
Parts of it.
If I were a gambling man, I might have had money on them,
Yeah.
and might have been touting that as a good bet. They dominated Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, they absolutely dominated them. They could have won that game 6-0,
yeah, they are really
and probably should have.
And they're getting great support. I mean, huge support.
Oh
The
yeah,
bank is
Yeah.
full. That
Full every-
place rocks.
Yeah.
they got standing room only there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and the
And
Galaxy.
the Galaxy do the same, right?
Yeah, they're still 3 points back and 1 point out of second.
6-3 Columbus.
Oh boy.
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy.
Bad
Now they're
news.
just going to go around and just pass the puck around now.
That's right.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Eat clock.
That
Wow.
I don't know that organization.
Sorry to take you off for the Galaxy, but I don't know what you had there.
Yeah. Well, that's about it from.
No, it's amazing what the kind of support that these football clubs are getting in LA right now, and the bank, that stadium,
Yeah.
Bank of California Stadium is it's gorgeous, it's fantastic.
Have you been?
I've been by it. I haven't been in
yeah.
it, but it's
We should
sort of
go. We
open.
should
I'd
go.
love to go.
Yeah.
I'd love to go.
The
The only way to get tickets, we might have to see a women's national team game because they're sold out.
Yeah, they've had a couple of situations where both teams have played at home, same time, same night, and they're each getting 25,000 each. So that's 50,000 people watching soccer. That's a pretty good darn turnout
Yeah.
for
That's a parking lot on the 110 and the 405.
Yeah.
Also,
I can't wait till the LAFC and the Galaxy
play.
get
Yeah.
together. Yeah, that's going to be exciting. All right, do we have anything else?
I think that's it.
That just about does it. We are out.
Good night.
Peace.